The IELTS Writing Task 2 can be extremely unique and difficult. And what helps a lot, what I show my students all the time, and we're literally going to go through the exact files I give my students, is a template, a great template for Task 2, very detailed. So you can get a band score of like 8, 8.5 if you do need. It can be shortened to maybe a band score of 7 if you need, or 7.5, right? So it is very adaptable, but this is the file and the template that will show you a band score of 8 and above, but we'll have a look and see how we can shorten it. So here we go. So this is a very versatile template. As I said, like with all task 2s, you start off with the introduction. So here I broke up the introduction into 2 parts, 4 sentences. So you can see here that the first part is these 2 sentences, and the second part is these 2 sentences. The first part is introducing the topic. Let's assume that the examiner doesn't even know what the prompt is. He doesn't get to see it, so you need to tell him. So the first part is just a general statement, right? In today's fast-paced world, the importance of balance in personal and professional life is often debated. So we don't even get to read the prompt, right? You don't know what it is, but now you kind of have an idea of what they're talking about. They are on the topic of balancing personal and professional life, right? It's often debated. So that's the general statement. But now, not only are we talking about balancing it, but what are they debating about? So now the second part of this first introduction would be for you to tell the examiner what they are arguing or debating about. Some people argue that a high salary is more important than job satisfaction, while others believe the opposite. Okay, because I was wondering, what about personal and professional life? What are they debating about? Now we know exactly what it is. So that's the first part. The second part is no longer about the topic, it is now about your opinion. So let's see. We have a thesis statement, which is very, very cool because it clearly states your opinion. While a high salary can provide financial stability, I believe that job satisfaction is crucial for long-term happiness and well-being. It is very detailed, and what I like about it is you are acknowledging the other side, right? So you are saying, while this is okay, I prefer that. And not just saying, I prefer job satisfaction. That's very basic. So you are now explaining what it is that you prefer while also acknowledging the other side of it. So that's your opinion. Secondly, here it's the outline sentence. And all this is tell the examiner what you're going to be writing about. Right? This essay will discuss the benefits. So one is about the benefits of job satisfaction. And the other point that you will discuss is why it should be prioritized over a high salary. So now from the introduction, the examiner can identify what the topic is, why it's even relevant and why people are discussing it, your opinion, and he already has a preview of what you will discuss, right? Your 2 points, each point for body paragraph. Now, this is a lot, especially for the introduction. So what you can do is you can combine the 2 parts in one sentence. You can say together what the topic is and why people are debating about it. It's about balancing personal and professional life, and people wonder if job satisfaction is more important than salary. Okay, you combined those 2 sentences. It's now summarized better and it's a lot shorter, just to save you time and word count because it's a lot to write, right? And maybe you don't have enough time for the thesis statement. You can shorten it. I think job satisfaction is more important than having a high salary, and I will discuss the benefits and why it should be prioritized. Very cool. You summarized 2 sentences together, and now your introduction, instead of 4 sentences, are 2 sentences. Very quick, very easy. Moving on, the body paragraphs, right? This is a structure, a 4-sentence structure that you should always have for your first and second body paragraphs. Very, very easy. Firstly, tell me what the topic is. What are you writing about? Remember what the last sentence was about? Benefits of job satisfaction. That is what you're going to be talking about, the benefits, right? And one of the benefits is higher productivity and better mental health, right? Those are two great benefits. But now, not only are you mentioning what it leads to, not only are you mentioning the benefit, but the reason why it's a benefit. Why is higher productivity, which it seems very straightforward, why is better mental health a benefit, right? Why should your workers be mentally good? And the reasons: it increases productivity, commitment, motivation, they enjoy their work. You're giving some explanations, you're elaborating. That is the second part of your body paragraphs, right? Topic, reason, next, example. Right? So far, those 3 steps are pretty simple. Topic, explanation, example. For instance, for example, to illustrate, there's many phrases, and then you provide an example. Right? It does not need to be a great example. It can be very simple, very straightforward, just explained really well. Next, concluding sentence. This is something that I don't see a lot of essays doing. And what I think about it is, imagine you're reading a body paragraph. After reading the example, you have now the idea of companies with high employee satisfaction rates and lower turnover, high profits. So you're thinking of this example, but you kind of forget why the example is relevant. So the last concluding sentence is to remind the examiner what you're talking about. Job satisfaction not only benefits individuals, but contributes to the overall success of a company. So you are kind of reminding the examiner what your main topic is, why we're discussing this example, right? So it's just there to remind, to bring the whole body paragraph together. Of course, you do the exact same for the second body paragraph, but your second point, so it's the exact same 4-sentence process. And lastly, the conclusion. Here we have 3 sentences, but you can skip or leave out the last final thought if you don't have time. That is just ending it off with a nice thought, just so you don't finish your essay with talking about the points of your whole essay. Because this summarizing the main points is where you mention again the 2 reasons, the 2 main points that you had in your body paragraphs, right? The job satisfaction, which we had, the benefits, and why it should be prioritized over a high salary. Remember? We don't just want a separate introduction, separate body paragraphs, separate conclusion. We want it all to be connected, right? You'll see just now. And then, of course, the restating your thesis is just restating your opinion, saying what you prefer. A high salary is important for financial security. Job satisfaction is essential for overall happiness and well-being. Some extra vocabulary and phrases for you to look at. And if we have a look at this essay altogether, it is a lot. As I said, you can shorten your introduction, you can shorten your conclusion, the body paragraphs. Keep those 4 sentences. Keep your topic, keep your reason, keep your examples, and lastly, keep that concluding sentence where you bring home the point, right? Because as I said, after reading the example, the examiner might forget why exactly we're talking about the example. So those sentences bring back the main topic, right? So that is the point for those 2 last sentences. As I said in the conclusion, you want to still mention the two main parts that you talked about. So job satisfaction, just as you mentioned job satisfaction here, and also the high salary, why it should be prioritized, a high salary, why a high salary should be prioritized. So you can see the connection between those two parts, right? If we had to draw a line connecting these two parts, drawing a line here, connecting these two parts. And on top of that, remember that here, mentioning this job satisfaction also tells the examiner what you'll talk about in your first body paragraph. Here, mentioning this high salary talks about what you're going to mention in your second body paragraph. So as you can see, everything is connected. Each part, each sentence has a reason, each sentence has a point. And if you're missing certain things, you lose these connections and you make your whole essay less coherent, less organized. So definitely follow the structure. If you don't have time to write it all, shorten your introduction, shorten your conclusion, but keep these 4 sentences, keep these connecting, linking parts, and that will help a lot. So just have a look through that. Of course, if you do have a great template, you don't need to use this one. A great way to improve your band score is having great academic phrases. Don't always say, for example, say to illustrate. Don't always say and then, say moreover. However, on the other hand, use some great phrases. And that is what will help you. So very quick, very brief, download this file in the description. And if it helped you, leave a thumbs up. I try to post a lot of videos on the IELTS and TOEFL. So I'll see you in the next video.